In October 2019, the Carter family moved into an isolated farmhouse in rural Montana, finally finding a property to build a life on. The property had sat empty for 15 years, surrounded by local superstitions that kept buyers away. Michael Carter relied strictly on logic. To him, the stories were nonsense, and the unusually low price was an opportunity he couldn't pass up. 3 days after moving in, at exactly 3:17 a.m., the silence broke. A series of heavy, rhythmic knocks and frantic scratching echoed directly from inside the bedroom walls. Expecting to find a trapped animal or a loose plumbing pipe, Michael grabbed a crowbar. He struck the rotting drywall, pulled back the splintered wood, and uncovered a pitch-black crawlspace. He squeezed into the dark gap between the walls. His flashlight revealed decades of dust covering old family photographs and broken children's toys, items that had no reason to be sealed inside the architecture of the house. At the far end of the tunnel, the beam caught cold metal. It was a heavy, rusted steel door, secured with a mechanical lock. The metal surface was covered in deep scratch marks, clawed from the inside. As Michael reached for the cold handle, the scratching stopped. From behind the locked steel, a child's voice whispered into the dark. Every logical explanation Michael had relied on collapsed in that moment. His family was locked in an isolated house with a threat that defied reason. Michael forced the rusted door open, stepping into a massive underground room. According to every official county blueprint, this space did not exist. The peeling wallpaper was hidden beneath hundreds of pinned newspaper clippings. Every single article detailed the unresolved disappearances of local children, spanning the last 40 years. On a wooden table in the center of the room, a dusty tape recorder suddenly clicked on by itself. A man's exhausted voice filled the room, warning Michael that the knocking wasn't coming from the walls. It was coming from beneath the floor. Michael looked down. Carved directly into the floorboards at his feet were the words, "Do not dig." Before he could step back, the wood gives way, dropping him violently into the pitch black beneath the house. He hit the ground hard. Sweeping his flashlight through the dust, he realized he hadn't fallen into a dirt basement. He was standing inside a sprawling, highly organized concrete chamber filled with metal shelves and filing cabinets. The massive, organized archive beneath the floor revealed a strictly human operation, hidden from the public for decades. The subterranean room looked like an abandoned police precinct. Dozens of official sheriff's department evidence boxes lined the shelves, sitting next to corkboards thick with missing person flyers. Every sealed box was stamped with bright red ink reading, "Case closed." Yet the transparent folders inside clearly held active, untested evidence, fingerprints, audio tapes, and suspect profiles that had never seen a courtroom. In a rusted filing cabinet, Michael found a restricted folder labeled Case 47.
Pinned to the front was a handwritten note from a lead sheriff with a clear directive: if anyone ever discovers this file, burn the house to the ground. Tucked beneath that note was a photograph printed just weeks ago. It showed Michael and his wife Emily standing in the farmhouse yard. Standing in the background, watching them from their own upstairs window, was the silhouette of an unknown man. Above Michael's head, the floorboards began to groan. Heavy, deliberate footsteps echoed through the living room. Someone was inside the house. Michael and Emily scrambled back up through the tunnels. They found the heavy front door standing wide open, a trail of fresh mud tracked across the living room floor, and their 9-year-old daughter, Sophie, missing. The discovery of the classified file transformed the family from accidental witnesses into direct targets of whoever was protecting this buried archive. Sophie's bedroom showed no signs of a struggle. The only thing left behind was a portable cassette player sitting on her mattress, looping a recorded voice warning them not to contact the police. Michael tracked the fresh, muddy boot prints out the back door, following them across the frost-covered grass until they terminated at a dilapidated red barn on the edge of the property line. Inside the barn, concealed under a thick, dusty canvas tarp, sat a fully operational Montana Sheriff's Patrol SUV. Sophie's green hoodie was resting on the passenger seat. Beside it, an active GPS screen illuminated the dark cabin,
plotting a direct route deep into an unmarked section of the forest labeled Site 14. Michael keyed the patrol radio to an emergency frequency, broadcasting the Site 14 coordinates to every state and federal agency in range before driving toward the dark Montana forest. The GPS coordinates led to a dense clearing already swarming with federal agents. Following the emergency signal Michael broadcast from the patrol SUV, the FBI had arrived just minutes before the Carters. Ground-penetrating radar uncovered a concrete bunker used to stash evidence from dozens of unsolved crimes that had been intentionally diverted from the judicial system. Extracting the files from Site 14 allowed federal prosecutors to reopen dozens of cold cases across the state. Families who had spent 40 years waiting in the dark finally received answers. The knocking in the walls and the hidden rooms were the physical components of a decades-old concealment effort, finally exposed to the light. 6 months later, the criminal network was dismantled. Inside a secure FBI evidence archive in Washington, D.C., an investigator processed the final cardboard box from Case 47. At the very bottom of the file lay a single photograph of the farmhouse. The date stamp proved it was taken 5 years prior. Yet, staring out from the upstairs window left the unmistakable face of Michael Carter. The conspiracy was solved. The guilty men were in federal prison. But the house itself retained a secret that logic, timelines, and federal investigators could never explain.